I think if there's something you don't know how to do, it's because you're lazy. The people that are all like, work, you got to do this, and cut people off if they're not elevating you. I don't know about that one. Yeah. But all that shit that you hear, man, a lot of that is like, these guys are all miserable, dude.
I see the beauty in people now, right? It's kind of like everyone from all diversities and stuff like that. I see just the beauty in people because that's what I look for now.
I always pride myself. I tell people all the time, I'm like, yo, if you have to text me, hey man, long time no talk, you're not a close friend of mine.
Full transparency, man. Like, just to be honest, I used to be like, that's stupid. Who the fuck does he think he is? I used to be that guy. And then somewhere along the way, it's almost like, okay, like I start to see, a lot of things, hanging out with that cultural diversity and stuff like that and what people were doing. You start to be empathetic and then start to understand. Then that becomes you.
I really don't give a fuck about belts.
Yep.
I really don't. It's fun. I enjoy it, the camaraderie. I have a great time when I go there. It's a way to like decompress. It's a way to like, when I step on the mats, honestly, bro, it's like the only 90-minute stretch where I'm not on my phone.
Is that good?
I mean, for real, that's what I would do in the past. I even do it to this day whenever we get records going. Yeah, because I send the video file over to my guy Dom in New York, and then we have this other kid Nick. And to just make it easier, you do it's called the slate. You ever seen that action? You do that, so then they have spike in the audio and in the video, so kind of have a reference to line up.
I guess I never did that because I never like kind of had to. I know what you're talking about. Like that's the first thing that I heard when I started editing videos. But then I never got used to that one thing because it just feels weird. And I would have figured that the cameras would have picked it up. It's kind of like, but I get it.
It just makes it a lot easier because like when I used to film back home in New York, when I would have guests come on, I would always do that to start. I'd line up everything and then I'd go.
You made that happen.
And they would always be like, and then I would have to explain to them. So it was a cool way of cheap banter in order to get into the show.
I like it, man. I like it. So not only was it a strategy, it was it was something to like, kind of converse about.
Yeah, because I don't know if you've noticed it, because you've been doing it for a while now, man. And I want to say I'm super
like a year, but
I'm super proud of you for that, because I remember when you first invited me on, it didn't look like this, and this is pretty cool. I like it. It reminds me of like a home vibe. This is what I had back when I was filming at my parents' house, at my buddy's house, and then when I rented out an apartment in Queens when I was filming too. So this is really cool.
Thank you.
And my question to you is, piggybacking off me saying about the cheap banter, have you realized now, having more and more conversations with people, that sometimes it's slow to get into the combo?
Yes.
So absolutely. I use that I call it cheap banter.
Yeah, absolutely. AKA small talk.
Maybe. Sure.
Yeah. Like, okay, so there's a few things. This conversation alone just sparked light bulbs in my head. I'm writing shit down already. So number one, about what you were saying, I don't like, so what I figured out is that when people say, oh, that was a good interview, I don't like that word, man. I just, it like triggers me for some reason, not like in an angry way, but it's like, I like the word conversation because essentially that's what we're doing. It's almost like we're going back and forth. Yes, I'm asking you questions. I want to find out about you. I guess you could say it's an interview, but then I like to like obviously elaborate because it is your show and you want to put your inputs into it. So I think a conversation, the word conversation is better suited other than an interview. Interview sounds like, well, how many, you won your fights, how do you feel? Well, you know what I mean? It just seems so robotic. That's number one. Number two, what you were saying, let me ask you something, Nick, is that I thought about this, right? So I was having a conversation with a friend, let's just say. We're all mutual, but we'll keep that under wraps. So you being a podcaster, before we get into the jiu-jitsu stuff, generally when people ask you for advice and they haven't done anything yet, do you like kind of spend time on that? Do you like, you know what I mean? Are you like really engaged in giving them tips? Because personally for me, the reason why I asked that question is that now that I've been doing a year, which is a very short time, it's just, look, if you don't have anything out there yet, number one, how can I critique it, right? And I've been only doing it for a year. It's not like an expert critique, but it's like, dude, are you fantasizing about doing it? Are you going to actually do it? Or are we just wasting our time here? Do you get what I'm like kind of saying a little bit? It's kind of like when people ask you and then it's like everyone and their mothers wants to start a podcast nowadays, right? But then where does that actually go most of the time?
Yeah, I think it's no different than when you probably have people ask you about training and wanted to come do, whether it's kickboxing, any form of striking or jiu-jitsu. I'm very selective with who I give my time and effort to in all aspects of my life. I always give people the benefit of the doubt when they first ask me if I don't know them. Yep. I'll tell them exactly what it takes, at least what it takes for me, right? I have issues with people being like, this is what it takes. No, this is what it took for you. Everyone's path is different and everyone has their own different way of cultivating whatever sort of thing they're trying to craft, right? So when I first meet someone and they ask me for advice or input, I give them my whole playbook. I get to know you and I know what you're about. I become selective. Like if I know the person is not someone who takes advice well, takes criticism well, maybe I'm wasting my time because, bro, how many times do I got to tell Mike about how to do a Dais or how to fucking edit a video, whatever it might be? Then eventually it becomes like, I'm just wasting my time giving you all the knowledge that I have on this particular thing. So to me, I'm always very open to telling people, man. I find it crazy that people want my advice, honestly. Well, I just,
from a subjective point of view, maybe, right?
Yeah. But I just, man, I still have that chip on my shoulder and I carry this sort of like, I don't like using imposter syndrome. That's the wrong term. Cause like now I feel like I'm the man because of all the time that I put into it. But I always like, it's a very humbling thing for me mentally and it keeps me grounded, especially with the friends that I have back home and even some of my friends here in Vegas. The whole idea of like, yo, don't get too ahead of yourself. Yeah. Right. So I always like to backtrack a little bit and just keep myself grounded. And I just think of when people do ask me for advice, I like to give it. But again, it's very selective because I don't like wasting my time.
Exactly. That's my whole point. And I want to reiterate, I love helping people out just because that's human nature. You ask someone, they're willing to help you. But then now that you get a little bit of traction and then people are asking you, oh, how you've done it and stuff like that, I'm more than happy to help. It's just what I found out most of the time from like my data of people asking me is actually nothing's getting done about it, right? So going back to your point, it's almost just saying, I don't want to waste my breath either, even though I'm like not quite there, but then people are asking, it's just like, it's the same kind of story most of the time, right? I'm not just saying someone here and there will break through and actually do what you advise them to because they really want to do it. But I figured it's like 95% of the time.
I mean, yeah, I strongly agree with you. I remember one time before I started learning how to edit, my buddy Joe, who's a big influencer in the social media space, and him and I used to do a podcast together. We used to do Veterans Minimum together. And then I never like the first year and a half, 2 years of doing content, I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to do audio, video, nothing, right? And then one day I just asked him, I was like, hey man, I would love to learn this. And I just remember vividly him being like, I've been fucking waiting for you to ask me, bro.
Really?
Yeah. And then he put me on to the basic stuff. And then from there to this day, dude, I tell everybody, like, I learned everything on YouTube. Yeah. I think if there's something you don't know how to do, it's because you're lazy.
I agree.
Because we have so many resources. I don't have
too many.
Yeah.
Too many resources.
No, but I think it's a good thing, right? You're not going to get me to shit on social media and technology in 2025, of course, right?
Yeah. It's a tool.
It's a tool and it's given me everything that I have. I'm in Vegas because of it. So I always like to keep that perspective. I don't like the people that shit on social media and then they make their livelihood on social media. It's like, well, you're kind of contradicting yourself, right? Yeah. I think with anything, it's moderation. So for me, I don't have my phone with me, but I'll never forget, dude, I had a sociology professor when I was up in Buffalo, and he came in and he had like an encyclopedia, a phone book, a map, a globe. He had just a bunch of shit on the table. And he goes, yo, you see all this? And this is in 2010. He goes, you see all this stuff? He's like, it's all right here. And he showed a phone. And he's like, nowadays, if there's things you don't know how to do, it's because you don't want to do it.
Right. Right.
That was in 2010, bro.
Yeah, right.
15 years ago.
Crazy. Yeah. That's
So
crazy
now it's even more so, right? So to this day, dude, if there's something I don't know how to do, I YouTube it. It's become what is it? A verb, right? Yo, YouTube it.
Yep.
Google it.
Exactly.
They've become their own things. And to me, just to get back to your question, I just think that it's all it's good to be a resource, but to the right people. And you don't know if they're the right people until, time goes on.
What do you mean by that? If you use YouTube just like to garbage in, garbage out, kind of like depending on what you watch, or like what do you mean by the wrong people?
No, the wrong people thing was in reference to me wasting my time trying to help someone. If they don't want to help themselves.
I got you.
But with the YouTube thing, it's more so like, dude, if you don't know how to edit something, look that shit up,
right?
And you'll be able to find it. It's like anything, dude.
You have no excuse. Yeah.
There's martial art instructionals on YouTube, and you can how to throw a proper jab or an armbar. You can find all that shit on there.
Sometimes the problem with me is YouTube, and I'd like to think that I use it more, yes, as a good resource tool, but sometimes I'll overconsume without actually doing something, right? Like I apply the things that I learn, but then it's very asymmetrical. Like I'll consume this much and then I'll apply this much almost. And maybe I'm my harshest critic and I watch too much productive, like productive hacks and stuff like that and how to better yourself, blah, 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 self-improvement, self-growth. But then those things almost make you feel like shit, like you're not doing enough. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you listen to someone like Alex Hormozi, and then he say, well, to get ahead, you got to work fucking hard and shit. And then I'm sitting here like, well, it's been pretty good for a year, but I'm not doing enough. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like, well, maybe I should take this action, take this action, take this action, then consume at night for like a good hour and then do it all over. You know what I mean? What do you think about that? Do you not put that much stock into it? Don't pay attention too much to it?
I just think you're overthinking, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, I first of all those entrepreneur guys and all those like you gotta work hard and all that shit. Those guys are all miserable.
We talked about this last time.
I've got to meet a lot of them working where I work at, and the whole idea of work. Like, dude, I work my ass off, but I have fun too.
Yeah.
And I don't even call it a work-life balance. I just really enjoy what I'm doing. And I get to do the things I've always wanted to do from day one when I first started doing content. And if anyone has heard my story or heard me tell this story, it's never changed. It's been the same thing I've said from day one to now. And anytime this conversation comes up, I say the same thing. All I ever wanted to do is what I'm doing now. The whole content creator. When people ask me, what do? Yeah, I create content for a living. Yeah. And I have the luxury of, I wake up at 8:30, mostly because my dog wakes me up and because class is at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that, bro, I'd be sleeping until 11, 12.
Right.
I don't go to bed till about 2, 3 in the morning. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I stay up late because of all the edits I got to do in producing and scheduling everything. So I wake up that early only because I got shit I want to do that only can be done at that time, right? Like I can only do Jiu Jitsu at that time because then at night, I can't train.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I've noticed, just my experience, the people that are all like, work, you got to do this and, cut people off if they're not elevating you. I
don't know about that one. Yeah.
But all that shit that you hear, man, a lot of that is like, these guys are all miserable, dude. They tell you like work, and they resent everything else in their life. And it's because the work has consumed them. And like I said, dude, I work my ass off, bro. I work really fucking hard with everything that I have to do. And I plan ahead on things, right? Like I have days where like, yo, this is my content day. I don't go and lift. I don't go do jujitsu, nothing. That's my Thursday. Every Thursday, that's my content day. So then I schedule out things for the weekend. I just ordered a whiteboard. So I got a huge ass whiteboard. It's probably like as big as, it's like a regular ass, I think it's like a 50-inch screen TV.
Okay.
Right.
That's
so
the
like
size of it, right?
The size,
they have a vibe board now where it's like an actual TV and you can write.
No. This is an actual whiteboard, right? With markers and shit. And it's double-sided. So I just ordered that. So I plan out my whole week and then the following week. And then sometimes I'll even plan out like my whole month. But I have certain days that I'll allocate to the things that I got to do. And these people, man, when they tell you about like, you got to work hard. And when they like, yo, you work as hard as you can, honestly. I think everybody, that's why I never say like, no one works harder than me. No, I think there's definitely people that work harder than me, but I work as hard as I need to. And I can. right? So
burnout and
yeah, because I don't want to get burned out, dude. I hate using that word. I hate using complacent. And to me, I've just noticed from experience being around these people, like, yeah, sure, the money is good, but I'd rather make the money I'm making now and have a lot of freedom and luxuries like I have than making more money working for someone else and then them being on top of you and sort of degrading you to get work done. Like, I don't like that. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm always a little hesitant with those kind of conversations from the things you see on social media.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you're right. It is pretty much what I was thinking is what I consume, but it is what I consume. It's almost like I can't, what's it called? I can't, what was that term where it's like bite the hand that feeds you? You know what I mean? It's almost like I'll watch these contents and it's gotten me a long way because I believe in like the real like subconscious. It goes into your subconscious and then it makes you who you are depending on what you consume, who you hang out with and all that stuff. So I don't necessarily want to be like, well, fuck that shit. Like,
well, let me ask you this: that stuff that you're consuming, do you enjoy it, or do you just consume it because you feel like you need to for self improvement?
I enjoy it. I enjoy it because the reason being, I completely get where you were going with that. But the reason being is that once in a while, it's kind of like reading a book. You'll read a 500-page book, and then you'll get 3 things out of that thing, right? What sticks to you. The other stuff is just kind of like I forgot, whatever. But those 3 things can change the course of like the light bulb moments that you get. Even the smaller things where it's like, say with these cameras, I didn't plan to reinvest. This is just an example. I'm like, dude, these iPhone cameras or Android cameras are really good nowadays. But I've had an idea from someone, I guess, or it could be content. It could be from, you or someone else. It's kind of like, well, you should do this so it makes a bigger change. That's what I mean. It's like seeing content like that and then having that insight, just that small insight, it changes the whole fucking game. And then it just trickles up for that. That's why I like it. And I'd say probably not even a quarter of it is kind of like, yeah, you kind of feel like you have to because it's just a habit at this point. It's kind of like I'm just sitting there watching TV and then I'll turn back into a movie. I can't even pay attention to a full movie anymore because it's not what I like to, you know what I mean? The climax is slow. It's kind of like where you could just jump in nowadays and then they got these hooks that get you and then it's kind of like, wait, what? I'm a product of that. I'm a consumer, so I'm a product of that. So that's really, where I was going. But so what, obviously we jumped into it. But I want to talk about, man, when I was asking you to go on this podcast that very day and then we rolled. And mind you, so me and Nick train at the same gym at Syndicate MMA. I asked him to be on the podcast, and that very same day we rolled. And here's what happened, okay? Just like a quick, long story short breakdown is that you got on mount. This is a fast forward version of it. You got on mount. You got the head and arm, and to me that felt normal because you always get me in that position because of the darts, right? Like I'm usually what's it called? In a turtle position, and then you'll get me wrapped around the neck. That's fine. And then, but what I didn't expect, I'm usually good when it comes to head and arm. Personally, for me, a lot of people can't finish it. That's just, to say, like Shane can, you know what I mean? There's particular people that can, and you're in trouble when that happens. But I notice a lot of people, it's kind of like they're not hitting the carotid arteries right when you're doing this. I felt the same way with you when you first got it. And then what happened was that when you slowly started creeping on top, that's when my mind started going, I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. Like, you know what I mean? Because you readjusted. And I had this slight like epiphany that I can get out. I could still get out of this because as I bucked, to try to get some air, it worked. But then I don't think I got enough air. So when you readjusted, I still remember this. I was about to tap, but then I went out right before that. And I want to talk about this because it is the first time that I went out. Like I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 6 years now. And I've seen people go out in the worst ways too. They're foaming at the mouth. You know what I mean? Yeah. Some people just go out different, and some people are from our gym. But yeah, I wanted to talk about that because based on my experience, legit, it seemed like I told Jerry, because he messaged me if I was okay. I was like, it seemed legit like I took a 20-minute nap, a power nap, and then I woke up and then I was alive again. You know what I mean? For some people, it might be different. It might have been different if it happened to be a different day or a different way. But then that's how I felt about it. I dreamt a little bit. I can't remember the dream. And then I woke up. I was like, oh, dude, what just happened? And then like 3 people were standing over me, right? One of them was Jerry, and then you were just kind of chilling over there.
I was shook, bro.
That was crazy, dude.
I was shook.
Crazy,
listen,
dude.
I've been training. November will be 6 years that I've been training. That's never happened.
Yeah.
And I told you after, because like after that happened, you know, after our, like we continued rolling, and maybe it was like a 90-second roll after, because, you know, I don't remember exactly when it happened in our round, but I remember we took like, you know, like a good amount of break, and then we started rolling again. And I told you, bro, I take pride in never hurting a training partner.
Of course, yeah.
It's like I do jujitsu for 2 reasons. Well, 3 reasons now. All my close friends are at the gym. Everyone in Vegas that I fuck with and I hang out with on a, you know, weekly, not weekly, but a good amount of time, they're all from the gym, right? So all my good friends are from the gym. Number 2, I try not to get fat. So it's amazing
reason.
conditioning.
Great reason.
And number 3, it's cool to do something with no desire to be a professional in.
Yeah.
And I always like having coaches. So it's cool to have Jerry and Shane. I don't always listen, but it's cool to just have someone show me some shit and learn some new shit and be disciplined and be held accountable, right? And I take pride in having never hurt no one. I give people, I think I'm a very honest assessment. I'm very self-aware. I think I hold my own against almost everyone.
For sure.
I push the pace. I make people work. I make people earn their moves or submissions.
So before you get into it, man, I'd just like to say that obviously we're observant human beings, but then when I watch you, you're going with everyone. And that's a great trait. That's just from me to you. You're going with everyone. I'm talking about everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I don't like. I like going with everyone that I go with on a consistent basis is way better than I am.
I know. That's
like,
what I mean.
Yeah. Dude, I like going, because for me it's like I always tell this joke. I'm like, yo, don't treat me like a Make-A-Wish kid, bro. Like let me earn it. If I earn a pass on Corey. Yeah. Which I think I've earned 3 passes in the 3,000 rolls I've done with him. It's like, I know I've earned that. Right. So for me, I like going, I go with all the best guys constantly. Yeah. And I'm trying my best to make you work. Right. And for me, like I always say, I do content for a living, try not to get fat, learn some new shit, and bounce. Yeah. I want to make sure my limbs are intact. I want to make sure all my joints are in order. All my ligaments are intact. I tap early. I tap often. Yep. For me, it's not ADCC when I'm in there. Yep. There's a lot of guys that we roll with. I don't like rolling with them because it's the trials every time you roll with them. But it's like, hey man, it's Monday morning. Let's
a car crash. Yeah.
Let's fucking relax a little bit, right? So I take pride in having never hurt no one. That's never happened to me. What happened with us two?
Yeah.
And my perspective was when I got the head and arm, and I've been fucking with that a lot because it just complements my game.
I can tell, motherfucker.
And when that was happening, I just kept thinking, like, when I had it locked in, you were like moving.
Yeah.
And you were being active. I didn't know this at the time. Hindsight 2020. This is what Jerry told me after. You're like moving. And you know how Jerry always says, especially with the head and arm, you can't see the person going to tap. Yeah. So don't let up.
Right.
Like there's so many times you see someone go to tap and then you let up and then they get out of it. That's what I was thinking. You're like squirming around. I'm in deep.
Yeah.
And then I hear the
yeah. How did you feel? So did you know that you were deep? Like you knew you had it? Like
I knew I had it, but I know that you're tough also. So I was like, oh, he's just fighting it.
Right.
And then when I heard the that's when I let go. And bro, you did the Undertaker. Your eyes were rolled back.
Really?
And I was scared.
That I didn't know.
Real talk. I was scared, bro. I'd never seen that happen. I just put my hand like on your stomach.
Yeah.
I was like, yo. And then I saw that.
Yeah.
I think it was Andrew was next to us. Blue belt Andrew.
Yes.
He was over there. And I just look up and Jerry's mid-roll. I go, Jerry.
Yeah.
And I wave him over. And like he came over, Andrew started shaking your legs or whatever.
Yeah. Andrew. Yeah.
Andrew. Yeah. I was like, 4,000 beats a minute, bro. I never knew. I never did that.
Yeah.
And like, I wasn't bragging about it. To this day, I don't brag. I was scared, bro.
Yeah.
I was scared. And then Jerry told me after, he's like, yo, you know, especially with chokes like that, it's not when you hear the that they're out. Like, they go out before that. And that's just the body bugging out on its own.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, in a weird way, luckily nothing severe happened. Everything is good. You guys finished the roll. He's like, it's good for you to know now that when you have someone in a choke like that and you hear the that first time, he's like, yo, let it go, bro. Especially for me, right? He was like, yo, especially someone like you, you're doing this for fun.
Yeah.
You don't like to hurt nobody. Your thing is way different the way you approach jiu-jitsu from everyone else. And I'm getting chills thinking about it, bro, because it was scary shit, dude.
Well, number one, I understand. Like, I always try to put myself in people's positions, and I know if that were me too, I'd feel really fucking bad. But it was obviously it was a complete just accident, right? You know what I mean? It happens all the time in jiu-jitsu, but I know, like, obviously when you're the one doing it, it's kind of like, and then my eyes roll back, like, and I didn't even know that, but I get that, but you know that's part of what we do, right? It's part of the game. And like I said, I'm sure you've seen it, right? Like, you've seen it in your other gyms, like people passing out.
Yeah, no, I've seen people pass out.
Right.
I've seen it at our gym.
You haven't done it to someone
I haven't done it. And even me, like, it never gets to a point for me where I'll let it get to that. Like, I'm always,
absolutely, yeah.
bro, I have no issue with tapping 4 or 5 times in a round. It's cool. If someone hits me with some dope shit, I'll be like, yo, that was fire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people, they get hurt because it's too much pride in just tapping.
Yeah.
Like I said, bro, it's Monday morning. You'll be okay. Now, and again, this could be because my perspective on jiu-jitsu is way different. Like, maybe there's guys that they want to compete, they do it full time. Like, it's a different level for them, right? Maybe you're in competition mode, which was, you know, I competed for the first time in February. We went over to Portland for ADCC. And I realized early on, I was like, oh shit, I could actually survive in a rear naked choke fully locked in. Where, like, in practice, I would have tapped right away. So it was a cool, different perspective seeing exactly how much the body can withstand.
Yep.
But that was
it was a gnarly one.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. That was crazy. Yeah. I was really shook, bro. I hit you up after, I think it was, or like we spoke after, and I checked on you pretty much after every round.
Yeah.
Like, and even some people were like, yo, you put Chris out. I was like, yeah, but I'm not bragging about that. Like, that was for me, it was different.
I think that's like probably, I'd say, I don't know, I'm shooting numbers out there, but then it's like 90% of the people that, I'm not there to choke anyone out. You know what I mean? But again, it's just one of those things that it just happens. Like, I'm explaining it right now. I was about to tap, but I went out. Like, Jerry, it's exactly what Jerry was saying. And then all of a sudden the body's convulsing. On my end, that was the first time that happened to me too. So I don't know. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this is obvious. And I know, as a human, a good human, you want to make sure that everything, you want to know that it wasn't intentional. I know that. You know what I mean? Everyone knows that. It's just, I know how it feels, like how bad you probably feel because of what you just saw, right? Like, eyes rolling back. You're like, oh, fuck. Like, I didn't mean to do it, but then I went out just anyway. And it was, I only want to talk about this because it was quite a milestone, not in a bad way either. It wasn't like, oh my God, I got fucking passed out. It was just like, whoa. I thought about it a little bit. It was no negative, connotations around it. It was no like hard feelings. It wasn't like, oh my God, he choked me out. You know what I mean? It was just like something to ponder. I'm like, damn, so he had me in that head and arm. That's why I'm telling you, like, the descriptions that I had, that what I could still remember. Because I did remember. I was like I was just gonna tap. After I bridged, I had room to where your arm kind of came off a little bit, but then it was still constricting me. Which, when you're in that position, you just never know. You just go out like a light. And then I was telling Nick, I was like, dude, I just went out. You know what I mean? And then he made a joke. He was like, yeah, you don't want to tap to that motherfucker anyway. That's what he said. I was like, yeah, you're kind of right, actually. Adam with this fucking, he was like, that motherfucker. But I think it was just, it's great insight, actually. I think honestly, I think it's a great podcast topic for, I actually never heard of that, probably because I don't watch too much BJJ content, but I've never actually heard someone being descriptive in like how they passed out and how they passed someone out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's
for
kind of
sure.
like one of those nuanced things where you don't really hear about it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but I think since no one was hurt and we're boys and stuff like that, we train together pretty much every time we see each other over there. I think it's just something to talk about. Like, you know what I mean? Call it an elephant in the room, whatever, but I think it's like normal.
Yeah, I think that's part of training.
Yeah. And again, I've seen some people from Syndicate, obviously not the time to like name names, but then I've seen them again foam at the mouth and stuff like that. But they were okay after again, right? It's just your body reacting. Just probably like Bryce Mitchell when he got knocked out by Emmitt Smith. I mean, that was a pretty fucking ridiculous one. That's probably a understatement too. It's probably different because he got brain smashed in the face, but you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just like,
no.
yeah. But so the other thing that I would tell you know, something about you, what I realized too is that I had a friend in New York. He was Chinese. He was like some tall guy, right? He had this like playerish thing about him. You New Yorker guys got this little kind of vibe thing going on.
We got
like,
game, bro.
yeah, it's not necessarily like the playboy type, which it could be, but then it's more of a vibe type where it's like, I don't really give a fuck. Like he was Chinese, he was tall, you know what I mean? He was a fairly good looking guy, give it to him. But all the, like, just for example, like the girls seem to be attracted to that. You know what I mean? That don't give a fuck kind of New York. And I say New York because he completely reminds me of you. Like I'm like, that's a carbon copy. Like, you know what I mean? You guys act the same. What is it about that, man? Is it just like, is it really a New York thing or is it just some general made up kind of bias? Like, is it just general, like, what do you call it, stereotype? Or is it, I have a cousin that's a New Yorker too, so I don't even know why I'm asking that question. Because he's like a truck driver, a New York Giants fan. And you know how they all fucking talk with he likes his hoagies and shit. But yeah, you know, can you talk a little bit more about that, man? Being from New York and shit?
Yeah, I like this kind of topic because I love representing home. Sure. I would say the coolest thing about New York.
Apart from San Diego, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, the coolest thing about New Yorkers is, and I mean like real New Yorkers, right? People that grew up there. Nowadays, there's a lot of transplant. A lot of people have moved to New York, right? But I mean, you know, did you go to high school in New York City? That's how I consider you being from that place, right?
Like you listen to Mobb Deep or something. You know,
definitely Mobb Deep. Like, shout out to Queens.
Yeah, no shit.
But for me, I just think that New Yorkers, it's a mentality and just like they just got swag, bro. You just got game, and you grow up in an environment where. Like my high school, Bryan High School, was on the same block as the Woodside Projects and like very diverse. We had a graduating class of, I think, 1,500. We had like 4,200 people in the high school. And
is that fairly big or fairly small?
About average, I would say, for New York City public schools. But very diverse, dude. Like, a lot of Latinos, a lot of blacks, a lot of Asians, Indians. I'd say white kids were like the minority in my high school. And you just grow up, like when you go to homeroom, right? Or you go to first period and there's 30 kids in the class, you have like, it's a melting pot of like 18 different countries are being represented and like regions of the world. So you're introduced to so many different cultures and you start to not pick and choose, but you start to pick at like what's cool from this culture, what's cool from that culture. And like, you know, growing up, I just had friends from all different races. And it was never like, oh, I got an Asian friend, I got a Spanish friend. It's like, nah, that's my boy. It was never like, oh, I got a black friend. Like, no, I tell people all the time, like, especially being in black culture and with the people that I produce their show and the content that I'm around, I always tell people like, yo, a white dude tells you that they have a black friend, run.
Run.
Right. That is a red flag.
Yeah.
Because it's never like that, especially in New York. And again, I could be jaded because of how I grew up. It's very diverse and it's just like a swag, dude. Like I think I'm the best in everything that I do. Like even if I'm not, I just carry myself. Like even in Jiu Jitsu, when I get submitted by someone 5-6 times and they're a black belt, I'll get up and be like, you ain't shit, bro.
Right.
You know, and then like they'll laugh at it or whatever, but it's different unless you know the person.
Yeah.
And there's there's just like an attitude and a swag to it that's really unique.
There's like a backside thing to that too. Like, meaning, what I mean is that, like, say like Cameron and Mace, right? What I notice when I watch your stories and, you know, the stuff that you post, that's why it's made to be like a joke, right? It's kind of like, you know, Nick's like the coolest white boy. You know what I mean? That's why they point that out, because it's so rare sometimes, right? It's kind of like one of those things where it's not like a normal occurrence where like a white guy that's part of the culture all of a sudden is just like with the in crowd. That's the way I see it, at least. That's why they make white jokes. They'll be like, Nick's like the coolest white boy because he has that vibe about him, like he's one of us kind of thing. So that's what I mean by like backsided kind of thing, not like a bad thing. It's just like, oh yeah, he's us, because rarely does that happen, right? I mean, usually when, I think now it's more often, but then blacks hang out with blacks, Asians hang out with Asians, you know, maybe that's the old school way of thinking, but it's still kind of generalized that way.
I think that all comes from how you grew up, bro. Okay. I really think that's how you grew up, because for me it was never like that. Like I'm Greek, right? And I don't really got many Greek friends. I like, honestly, right now, if I'm envisioning like my 10 closest friends, one of them is Greek.
Yep.
And I met them out here, Dimitri. Right. So like, I didn't grow up with Greek kids. Like, yeah, I played in the Greek like church leagues and shit like that. But like my crew was all like Spanish, because I played soccer, right? So it was all Spanish. Played basketball growing up, played football, a lot of black friends, Italian friends. So like, again, it's how you grew up and how you were raised. Like, I went to school in Buffalo, bro, and there were kids that like, they went to these schools, or they went to these private schools where it was all white.
Yep.
So then when they go to Buffalo and you're at Buffalo State and it's 18,000 students enrolled, you get all these different cultures that come in. It's a culture shock for you, because that's not how you were raised, right? I'll never forget this, bro. So growing up in Queens, right? I think it's the most diverse place in the world.
Okay.
And there's a famous street called Steinway Street, and that would be the street that I would take. It's about like 3-4 miles long, and that would be the street that I would take to go to high school. And as you're passing through Steinway Street, every block, it becomes like, oh, this is the Arabic block. This is the Jamaican block. This is all Greek and Italian. This is French. This is Asian and Japanese cuisine. Like, you're talking about like in an 8-block radius, you got fucking 50 different restaurants. I'm exaggerating, but stay with me here. It's all different cultures, right? And I'll never forget one thing. It was during the 2014 World Cup. I'm a big soccer fan. And we were watching a game at one of those like hookah bars, right? Owned by Egyptian dudes. And I was talking to one of the guys there, and he said something really profound that I'll never forget. He goes, do you know why the U.S. is never going to be good in soccer? Or sorry, it wasn't that. He said, do you know why the U.S. is never going to rally behind soccer? And I was like, why? He goes, because everyone in America is an American. When you go to Japan, like everyone's Japanese. Right, you go to Argentina, everyone's Argentinian. You go to Greece, everyone's Greek. In America, like, right? Bro, when people ask me, like, yo, where you from? I'm like, born and raised in New York. My family's Greek. That's what I tell people. I don't say I'm American. When I go to Colombia, when I go to Canada, I'm going to Europe this summer, I'm American. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we don't really, we fuck with our people, but as a people, we don't fuck with each other.
Sure.
Especially when it comes to like athletics. This is more so like a sports thing, right?
Yeah,
So that's why,
a big one in sports.
Yeah, that's why I was saying how like it's all your environment and how you were raised. Like, bro, it never like would cross my mind growing up in New York City. Cause the other thing, bro, like the people would police it. Like the friend group would police it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, are you gonna act out of pocket to Chris because of where he's from? Like, are you fucking crazy? That's our guy, bro. So you would have to deal with people within. That's why I'm pro bullying. I think bullying is dope. I think bullying, if used correctly and used in a way that could better you, I think is super popular. Now, there is bullying that's like very malicious and dark.
Sure, yeah.
I'm not saying that, but like always the bullying that I encountered was like, yo, Chris, bro, you put on 20 pounds. You're fucking way better than that, bro. Like, let's get your shit right. Let's get in the gym.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I really think that it's all about how you were raised and where you were raised.
Yeah.
So I'm always very like, hey man, I can't judge you for how you view the world. I don't know where you're from.
I definitely agree that it's how you were raised, especially when it comes to like your parents and stuff like that. Because, you know, full transparency, my Filipinos were always like, stick with Filipinos, right? Like growing up and stuff like that. And they were a little bit racist, you know what I mean? But I don't know if this makes sense or contradictory, but with good intention a little bit, they're like, stick with your culture because, growing up, you grew up Catholic and stuff like that. They want you to stick in that echo chamber.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as I grew up, yes, I did hang out with Asians, but then we kind of commingled with the jocks and stuff like that. Really commingled with them, we all hung out. And then as I grew up, I got into the restaurant business at an early age, and I don't think there's a bigger melting pot because when you work in the back of the house, there's blacks, whites, Asians, Mexicans, and all that stuff. That's when I really started learning like real diversity. And that was at the age of like 13, 14. You know what I mean? It was pretty young, even though I was a little bit older. But yeah, I had this way of thinking. It's kind of like, these Asians, we like have to stick together or whatever. But then as you grow up, it's kind of like, well, everyone's, if you think about it, everyone's just kind of the same, going about their business. And then people grow up different. Yeah. But then, for the most part, people have like the same principles and values, which is mostly good. You know what I mean? So I think snapped out like judgments.
For sure. I think people's intentions are always good. I like to believe it's just the way they go about it is wrong.
Bro, I used to be a hater. You know what I mean? Full transparency. I used to be like, why is he doing that like stupid shit? When I'd watch, we talked about consuming. Full transparency, man. Like, just to be honest, I used to be like, that's stupid. You know what I mean? Who the fuck does he think he is? I used to be that guy. And then somewhere along the ways, and this was way before I was doing this, this was just like around high school, somewhere along the ways, it's almost like, okay, like I start to see, a lot of things, hanging out with that cultural diversity and stuff like that and what people were doing. You start to be empathetic and then start to understand. Then that becomes you. You know what I mean? So that's just my inputs and 2 cents on.
And again, that's your experience. Yeah. Like who is anyone to knock you for that? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, especially if your intentions are good.
Yeah.
I got no problem with it, bro. I got so much shit going on where I can't really put my energy into things like just don't hurt nobody. And
for sure.
And for me, I'm cool with all that.
Yeah, it's just a really, I think about it because I always try to compare myself to who I was in the past. You know what I mean? And now I see the beauty in people. I see collaborations. I see, because you are what your thoughts are. If you think, at least in my belief, it's like if you see the negative people, that's what you're going to see. You know what I mean? Because you're making up like a fantasy or framework in your head that it's like, well, people are shitty because you had one experience that traumatized you for some reason. Then that's your thinking pattern. But now, again, this was going way like a few years back. And the reason why I bring it up is that's when I had a light bulb moment. I'm like, wait, people are good. What do you mean? And now I'm doing the same shit. It's like the most contradictory thing. And then I'm like, yeah, if you look at people in a way where it's like, yeah, they want to help you and stuff like that, that's what it's going to be, right? That's what you're going to project out into the world. And then people are going to want to help you because the vibe there, there's that word. It's like, it's just going to radiate out of you.
Yeah. Let me ask you, how old are you?
39.
39.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like you're way too hard on yourself, bro. And you be thinking about shit that really don't matter, honestly. Like for me at least, I used to feel that way too. And maybe because you're still early in everything that you're doing right now and you're really like going for it. And like I told you at the beginning of this, I'm super proud of you for doing this and staying with it. Yeah. But I think like, bro, eventually there comes a time where you just understand who you are. And again, it might take, because like for me, it wasn't until I always knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't have the proof. Right. And I think that I'm cool with how you feel about everything that I'm doing. You want to critique it. You want to hate on it. Cool. You're more than entitled to. I'm also very petty and I remember it. Right. Sure. So like, I'm going to remind you at some point, even if it's in a playful way, even if it's in like yo, Chris, remember when you were shitting on me for that? Mm-hmm. I bet we're sitting courtside now.
Like a jab.
Like, yeah. Like, and bro, I do that. I do that to people that I love and like people that I'm doing it for. But I just think that eventually you figure out exactly what you're doing and who you are. All that other shit is like, bro, it's gotten to a point for me because of my body of work. And again, you have to be a good self-analyst and be self-aware when you put in enough work into something, you do become an expert in that craft. You can't tell me nothing. Mm-hmm. Especially for what I do on a daily basis, right? Like when it comes to the content space, you can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me what I'm doing is wrong. Now, can you give me advice and be like, yo, you know what I think would be dope, bro? If you maybe did green screen videos because your personality would radiate. Cool. I like that kind of input.
Like constructive.
Not even constructive, like a suggestion. But you can't tell me, yo, everything you're doing is wrong. I'd be like, you're just hating now.
Yeah, right.
Like, how could it be, right? I run a podcast studio at the Win. I'm a part of 2 of the biggest shows going on right now on YouTube. My show's doing super well. Yeah. I don't agree with what you're saying that it's not working. But
well, you have proof of that, right?
Exactly. And that's what I was saying. Like, you probably feel this way and you're so hard on yourself. Like, why am I consuming all this content? Why am I not doing more? It's like, bro, just chill, dude.
Yeah, I think some parts you're right. In my own thinking, you're right into the fact that I just pretty much still a white belt in this, technically a year, right? But I think it's also, it may be a personality trait of how I grew up. Again, there's that like deeply thinking kind of thing, right? But listen, with all the traumatic stuff, and I'm not going to go too into it. I went in it with Shane, when he was here last time. But I think with all the stuff, like everyone has like a history of things, which made me who I am now, right? It's almost like, yeah, you're right. I'm a bit hard on myself. My harshest critic. I think mostly everyone is. But then how I told my story about like 18 years, and I don't often say this, it's like whatever, I'll say it once and then, I'll maybe bring it up and not to get dramatic over it. But then I've been an alcoholic for like 20 years. You know what I mean? I've been drinking since I was like 14. And that's every day with whiskey, 750. I've told the story time and time again. I don't want to go into it. But I think it's just because, and then I think I put a lot of stock in like self-growth reads and consumption and stuff like that because it has helped my life. You know what I mean? It's like the emphasis of like what I do now. That's why I started this podcast in the first place. Like, look where it led me. It literally like pretty much saved my life and do what I'm doing now. Same with martial arts, right? It's almost like I found martial arts like in my 20s, like boxing, combat sports and stuff like that at first. And then that changed the whole trajectory of where I was going. So my point is that, yeah, it may be a genetic predisposition flaw that I have. It's like, fuck, man, like, come on. Or maybe I don't have proof of it yet to prove myself of the success or whatever, what I aim to do, whatever that may be, which I'm not even clear of yet. But it might just be because I don't want to go back to what I was, right? It's kind of like hiding from that, like, oh, fuck, like, I don't want to go back to alcoholic or being fat or, you know what I mean? Or doing that kind of stuff. I don't want to go back to like not working out and doing all this stuff. So I don't know, I'm not like a psychiatrist or anything, but I think it has a lot to do with that, based on just what you have experienced and then who you are. It's kind of like that drive to not become that again or something like that. Or like I said, with the being hater part, I don't want to be that, dude. Are you kidding me? Like, you know what I mean? I see the beauty in people now, right? It's kind of like everyone from all diversities and stuff like that. I see just the beauty in people because that's what I look for now, not the, oh, God, you know what I mean? I'm so envious kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think, listen, if it helps you, bro, go for it. Yeah. Like if it, like people are going to make fun of it, cool, or whatever it might be. Like I tell my friends, right? So I laugh at like people that, not laugh. I want to be careful with how I say this because people are very sensitive, but I've never been to therapy. I don't know if I would want to pay someone to go and tell them my problems. I also was raised different where like I have a really good, tight-knit friend group that would tell me like, yo, bro, get your shit together. That's what works for me.
That's right? Like your therapy, right?
That's my therapy. And even with like some of my friends that I've made out here, I always tell them like, Zach from the gym, Kyle, Dimitri, Shane and Jerry. Yep. I'm like, yo, I found y'all are a big reason why I don't like going back home. Or no, I don't miss home as much because I got that here. I'm leaving for, I don't know when this is going to air, but I'm leaving for New York next week. And I told him the other day, I was like, bro, you're a big inspiration as to why I'm going back home. And it was Jerry. Him and I went and grabbed lunch, and I told him, man, I'm doing really well right now. And like, I was talking to my dad, and I was telling my dad how I might want to go back home. But my dad is like, nah, man, stay and, work. And,
you mean like for good or?
No.
Okay,
just like on vacation. Like ever since I moved to Vegas from New York, May has been the month that I go back for like a week or 2 weeks. Okay. And this year I'm going back for 12 days. It'll be the longest since I moved to Vegas that I'll be back in New York. I remember just telling Jerry this, and Jerry's like, yo, bro, fuck the money, dude. Just go. Like, your dad will love it when you're back home, even though he's talking shit now about you staying and making money. And I was like, yo, I appreciated that, man, because I need people in my life that will tell me like what's best for me, even if I don't want to hear it. And I got thick skin. I'll be fine. My parents talked mad shit to me like growing up to this day, right? So I say all that, and to go back to what we were just talking about before, for me, if it helps you, bro, like, be my guest. I might find it weird. I might find it corny. I might make fun of you for it. That's also how I show love to people. Like I tell people all the time. I tell people all the time, and I'm being 100% real when I say this. If I don't poke the bear, if I don't cut your ass, if I don't fucking make fun of you in public, like, playfully, right? There's malicious intent behind some things, and then it's like playful, like me, Jerry, and Shane are always tagging each other on these hilarious ass reels and just
funny as shit.
And making fun of one of each other. But it's like, bro, if I don't do that to you, don't hit me up when you're on the side of the road. I'm not coming.
Right.
Like another thing, going back to what you asked me before about New Yorkers, there's an old saying that New Yorkers are kind, but they're not nice. People from the West Coast are nice, but not kind.
Yep.
Right? You get a flat tire on the side of the road.
Yeah.
You get a flat tire on the side of the road. A California person from LA drives by. They're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you, and keep driving away. A New Yorker is going to be like, Chris, you dumb fuck. You didn't see the pothole over there, you piece of shit. And while we're fixing the tire for you, right? So for me, man, like I tell everybody, and sometimes like I'll make fun of someone, and if the way they react, I'm like, they're not playful, they don't want the jokes, and then I'll leave them alone. I won't.
Sure.
Because then that's bullying. You know what I mean? But like
to them,
they'll feel bullied. Where like, dude, when I got close with Shane and Jerry, I'm not gonna say what we were saying to one another because of our political climate, and I like what I do for a living. But we said some outrageous shit to one another, and we all laughed, and I was like, oh, I just found my my tribe out here.
For sure. And you know what's funny about that is that it's a great human dynamic, because I do the same stuff with the other guys at the JITS class, right? Like people like Ezekiel and some of the guys at Muay Thai. I have those relationships with those guys.
Of course, you have your own.
The most heinous shit too. Yeah. It's almost like you fuck. You know what I mean?
Nah,
like,
for sure. Listen, man, it's something where like I think there have been these like polls or studies of like guys that are cracking jokes on their friends or making fun of them. It's like 300% more loyal. Like friendships are realer. I believe that.
Yeah, it's okay. So a little psychology thing. This might be a little bit, stale and boring. But then this guy was saying that if you can't make fun of your friends, it's like it's more of a trust thing, so that if you make fun of them, they should be able to like trust you and then use that against you or something like that. It's almost like a connection kind of thing.
Oh, dude, I couldn't agree more. I don't trust you if you don't make fun of me or disagree with me.
Because you could use something on them too, and then they could use it back, and then that just builds the connection.
Yeah, and also I don't like. Well, I was talking about this on the show with George yesterday, because again, I don't know when this is going to air, right? But
this Monday actually.
Saquon Barkley won the Super Bowl with the Eagles. He got a lot of hate on social media for going golfing and visiting the White House with Donald Trump. So a lot of people were attacking him, and he put out a tweet saying, man, stay on my mentions. Like, I'm not going to apologize for respecting administration and respecting the country. He's like, I golfed with Obama not too long ago. He's like, yo, stay on my mentions. And to me, it was like, bro, who the fuck cares, dude? Nah. Like, I got friends that have been on both sides of the political parties. I've never voted. I don't really care about politics. To me, I just feel like, every 4 years they kind of sell us on sunshine and rainbows, and then they manipulate half of us. Half of the people gonna like it, half the people gonna hate it. And I always tell people like, bro, I don't trust you if one, you don't make fun of me for anything. And if you agree with me on everything, bro, I don't have not one. I don't even trust my own ideas.
Yeah. Right.
So you're just gonna agree with me on everything? Like every idea I have, Chris, is amazing? No, some of them are fucking stupid.
Yeah. That's your bullshit radar going off though, right?
Right.
It's the like, come on, you know, like it's the fake, like kind of deal. That's easy to like kind of detect. And yes, I do agree with you with the political, but then there's also. Saquon Barkley is like pretty high profile, right? And then when you get to that level, there's some stuff that you got to watch out for the sake of your careers. Now, we can all say that, yeah, you know, you got to stick to your guns and who the fuck cares, right? But then we're talking levels here. Like, look, yeah, maybe you might be a person of, let's say, like a man of your word kind of thing and stuff like that. But again, that might be very, very rare. When you get to millions and millions of dollars and millions of influence from other people, that's a whole nother thing to where you could say one thing and it happens all the time that you'll get censored by the, whatever you want to call it, progressive left, right? The cancel culture stuff, if it's still going on. I don't watch too much TV anymore, but you know what I mean? It's almost like that's a whole nother thing. Me and you can sit here and have our, views and you're at a higher profile, but then we're talking about Saquon, but like he's literally a public figure of the sports demographic, of the black demographic, of the now political sphere, because he went to, that's something to be talked about. Now, when you talk about that kind of stuff, that controversial, even when you don't think it's controversial and you put yourself in that medium, fuck, like you have a lot to risk, right? A lot of money to lose, your family's riding on your lifestyle, you have all this shit that you got to think about, sponsorship deals and getting canceled from the team. You know what I mean? Shit like that. So it's kind of a different spectrum, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But
it's easy to say like we could be ourselves, but it's like, dude, when you're in it and then you're in a whirlwind of like, say the Joe Rogan thing where he got hit up for the racism stuff. Like I'm sure he didn't intend it, but here we are. Like he had a hard time dealing with it, and you know what I mean? It's just that whole big thing where it's like, you racist fuck. It's like, that's not what I intended, but it could sway the other way.
Yeah, I think that's two very different examples though. Okay. Like when someone is racist and then who they voted for, I think is way different. I just like, I don't know. To me, it's a non-story. I looked at it as a slow news day when it became headlines.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand, dude. Like like I said, I got friends that have voted both parties. I even said like, yo, my college roommate, Muhammad, grew up in the Bronx, had like a fucking 1.7 GPA in high school, got up to Buffalo, changed his entire life around. He now works for the governor's office in New York. I posted him having a picture with Joe Biden when it was during the last presidency. So like 2019, around then, like right around the pandemic, they were in New York. I posted the photo. I was like, hey man, y'all know my stance on politics. I don't give a fuck, but it's pretty cool. Someone that I spent time with, grew up with, taking a photo with the president. Yeah, that's pretty badass. Sure. Like, I don't know. I don't have many friends like that have never done that. So I'm supporting my friend. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and then I've had situations on the other side where my friend is hardcore Republican and he works in an office that's Republican, and it's like I post him and I support him. So like, again, it goes back to what we were talking about before about like experience and like how you can relate to people. And I always relate to people. I don't really relate. Like I've never looked at, oh my God, so and so is coming out and endorsing this figure, and it's like I don't give a fuck. Yeah. I'm a fan of what I told you before. You got to agree with me on everything, bro. Like, I like you as a football player. And some people have an issue with separating the two, right? Like Chris Brown has had a lot of domestic violence stuff, but his music is dope.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a great artist.
That's a great example, actually.
I like him as an artist. I don't agree with everything he does. Sure. I don't agree at all with what he does off the studio and off the stage. Some people have trouble separating the two. I don't. Now, again, there's like, I don't fuck with R. Kelly. That's a different example. Don't touch little kids. That's always been my thing. Right. However, you want to show your butthole on Instagram and like OnlyFans, be my guest. Don't fuck with little kids. I think that's a fair request to make. I don't think it's that asinine. But again, some people, they can't separate the two. I can. And I like him as an athlete. And I don't care what they do politically. It's never been my thing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like even me being in the sports space, I try to avoid it, but sometimes it becomes such a big headline, you got to address it. And then you have your fans that want your perspective on it. And it's been cool for me. Like the people that do know me and my audience, they know how I am. So it's cool when you have like, even if, but this is the coolest thing about building a community, and shout out to everyone that has supported me all these years and continue to support me, is they're kind of like your first line of defense. So when an outsider, fans, when the outsider comes in and they're like, oh my God, you're this, you're that. The people that really know you and have been listening to you for 3, 4, 8, 10 years. I'm coming up on 10 years of doing my show.
Congratulations.
They're like, yeah, y'all new here.
Yeah, right.
And I see the comments all the time. And I'm like, yo, thanks for fucking holding me down.
Absolutely.
Because when someone, dude, it happens all the time. Like I've gotten close with this one influencer. And when I used to see his content, I used to be like, yo, I thought you were corny, bro. I thought you were a piece of shit. And it's what I see on social. Dude is awesome. You know what I mean? So again, I think the key word in this entire show that we've done is experience. What your experiences are, I think, cultivates everything else for you.
Agreed on the experience. Obviously, it's what you learn along the way that really progresses you. But yeah, going back to that about the, people don't know how to associate. I mean, they make it a part of their identity, right? It's who they are. It's almost like identity politics. But saying that, I agree with you on especially the Chris Brown thing. I think that's a great example because personally, I love Chris Brown's music. I don't agree with him beating the shit out of Rihanna. You know what I mean? That's probably the obvious. But it's kind of, so I just had this thing right now, right? It's almost like when you say you have die-hard fans, and then wouldn't that kind of relate to, like if they're a Chris Brown fan, and then it's kind of like they support, well, Rihanna's probably acting up. You know what I mean? They'll like kind of justify, whatever they say, and they're fans of yours, so they'll like die with you till the end, regardless of what your beliefs are. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a little bit contradictory,
Yeah, I can see what you mean there.
Yeah, it's kind of like everyone's just all for Chris Brown, like beat the shit. They'll justify like beating the shit. Even R. Kelly, even fucking R. Kelly. It's kind of like, well, was the kid not obviously? That's don't fucking touch kids. You know what I mean? But that's people will justify that shit. Like there's some crazy people out there.
Yeah, you don't want those people around if they could justify that. I think that's really crazy. That's an ultimate extreme that I can't get behind.
That's a crazy one, dude.
But for me, I just like when it comes to like the political space, like, bro, I know you 20 years, right? Like I've had friends that literally don't talk to each other anymore because of what happened the last 2 elections.
Even with the COVID thing,
and
the vaccine thing.
It's crazy. It's crazy, bro. It's like, yo, I actually know you, dude. I know you. We grew up together.
Yeah.
Just because of who you voted for. To me, honestly, bro, it's gotten to a point like I'm 34 years old now, and I know exactly who I am and what I stand for and all my beliefs. And I have people that know me really, really well. If you're one of those people that are like, oh, I don't like you because of this, I'm like, you just did me a favor.
Yeah, right.
I'm constantly looking to eliminate people from my circle or from my life in general. Like if I don't need to talk to you, I always pride myself. I tell people all the time, I'm like, yo, if you have to text me, hey man, long time no talk, you're not a close friend of mine. And I get that we have like busy lives. Like my best friend, Danny, back home, he lives in Connecticut, grew up together. I know he's my longest friend. I know him since I was 6 years old. We haven't spoken like 6 months, like on a personal one-on-one, but he'll never text me, bro, long time no talk. Like it's like we pick up like, right away. Yeah. Fucking idiot. You getting on Xbox or what?
Yeah. I saw that thing that you did. What the fuck was that? Right. Like that. Kind of stuff. You just get into it.
Yeah, man. Everything else, like, I don't know, bro. I think people, we're all weird in one way or another.
Yeah.
And I just let people be, honestly.
Yeah. I think it's just actions more than what you say, relating to that. It's like, what people say, what people do. If people say something, they do another thing. Yeah, it's easy. It's kind of easy to identify. Like, just say, for instance, my biggest principle, I don't know if this relates. I don't know if I'm kind of going off the cuff here, but then it's like saying that you're going to do something and then you don't do it. That one is like a big stock to me. if someone says like they're gonna be there, I know shit happens. I get it. Just let me know. It's all good. But say if like this is just an example. Say if someone said they're gonna show up somewhere helping you move or something like that, and then last minute they're like, oh, I can't. You know what I mean? And then it happens like there's a pattern to it. It's kind of like fuck, man. You know what I mean? It's trust. Trust is like the currency to me.
I mean, bro, you asked me before about giving advice. It's the same concept for me. Mm-hmm. I'm very stubborn. I won't ask you twice to be on my show. Yep. I give you the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if we spoke about this last time, but if I invite you on my show and like, now if you cancel in advance, like if you, so today is what? Today's Tuesday. Say next Tuesday we schedule to record. And on Friday you hit me up. Hey man, sorry, something came up. I got a doctor's appointment. I got a private. I got to record this pod with fucking Conor McGregor or some shit. Yep. You give me a heads up. Cool. No problem. I'll ask you again.
That's what I mean.
100%.
Yes.
Now, if we're supposed to record at 6 p.m. and at 5:30, you're like, hey man, I can't make it. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'll be like, life happens, shit happens, emergency. I get it. Mm-hmm. I'll ask you one more time. Mm-hmm. If the second time you do that again, I'm never asking you again,
that
bro.
one's just a no.
And I've had people with millions of followers, huge in this podcast space, huge in my field. Nah, fuck that, bro. I carry myself like my shit is the best. Yeah. Because I put out the best content that I could put out. When people see it, they fuck with it. Mm-hmm. And like, yo, you're not gonna treat me like some slapdick show, or it's a respect thing too. And
exactly,
you honor people's time. One thing that I hate is oftentimes like, bro, I'm on my phone a lot. And when people text me, I text back almost immediately. Yeah. And then people will be like, especially girls,
that's a great trait.
They'll be like, you text back so fast. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, I respect people's time.
Yeah, exactly.
So I rather let's get that out the way and address it, as opposed to now I got to sit around for 4 hours waiting for your response. Yep. I don't need those people in my life.
Dude, I'm so passionate about that. That's a great topic, man. I'm so passionate about the time thing, where you value people's time. It's almost like a pitch to me now, but it's not a pitch because I really do mean it. When I ask people to be on this podcast, especially if I don't know them that well, I always say that thank you for your time, or I value your time, because I mean it. If you're going to take a day to do this podcast, it's a very small podcast, by the way, right? Like not even it's an infancy age. If you're going to do this, take time out of your day and then be here for an hour and a half, 2 hours and stuff like that. I mean, like, yeah, time is like one of those unrenewable things where you can't get it back. And I'm sure you won't have other shit to do. To me, I look at it like almost like economics with opportunity cost. What's the opportunity cost of you being here instead of doing something else? Even though if it's playing like FIFA or something, right? That could be more valuable. Doesn't matter if it's fucking video games. It's more valuable to you to play FIFA than be on this podcast. But what that means is that since you took the time to be on here, like Jay-Z said, you could be, anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, right? So that's kind of like how I take it. That's why I always say every time someone leaves here, and again, it's become a habit, but I do mean it. It's like, thank you for your time, dude. I really do appreciate it. And then I feel it in my soul. It's kind of like, thank you, man. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing you could give me. That's the biggest gift you could give me. You could give me all the presents, but it's like, for you to be here, you don't have to be. It's more to my benefit, right? You don't have to be, but you're here. So I put a lot of stock in it.
Nah, for sure, man. I feel the same way. Anytime we have guests on the show, whether they're recurring, whether it's their first time and it might be their last time on the show, I say the same thing. Yeah, I say it throughout the whole conversation too. I like to reiterate it. Yeah, it's important. I think a lot of things like that are important for sure. Yeah.
So let's before we quote unquote land the plane. This is kind of a general question that gets asked a lot, but what has particularly for you, man, what has like training done? Because we've been training not even close to the people that we train with. Your close friends, our BJJ coach Jerry, Shane, and all that. What have you related, and what are you implementing? What are the benefits that you're taking from jiu-jitsu to your podcasting career or just your walk of life?
I don't have a problem with things taking time. I think that's been my best attribute. I'm very persistent. It's a gift and a curse. I think it's one of the reasons why I've been single for like 15 years because I'm firing off 3-4 texts. Like I need a response. Going back to the time thing, like I'm very good at communicating. That's what I do for a living. Yeah. I tell people I'm a professional talker.
That's why I say it's a great trait. Like a lot of people like to play that game of like, oh, let me be valuable and then I'll like text them later. You know what I mean? It perceives value to them or something like that, like they're special. You know
bro,
what I mean?
I tell people I'm an artist.
Yeah.
What we do, I think it's an art form, right? Like everyone tells jokes, but they're not comedians. Everyone thinks they could throw a punch, but they don't know how to actually fight, right? So I tell people like, yo, I'm an artist. I'm a wizard in my craft. Like I'm really good at what I do. And that comes from time and from reps. And I don't mind things taking long. My number one rule, it gotta be fun.
Yeah.
It has to be fun. It sounds very basic, but I love training. I try to do 5 classes a week. That's my number. Some days I double up. Mm-hmm. Some days I might take off, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to open mat this week because I only got 4 classes. So I consider open mat like a class, right? So like I gotta get on the mats 5 days a week. I don't mind how long it takes. I was having this conversation with Dave, black belt lender. Mm-hmm. Dave and
shout out Dave.
And Cody. Yep. Purple belt Cody. Mm-hmm. We were talking and I forgot how the conversation came about, but I think like it was one of the few times that like I had a really good role with Cody, right? Cody is very fundamental and he's like very precise with his movements. Mm-hmm. And he's a good person to like drill jiu-jitsu with. Sure. He's very good at that. But we were just talking and they were like, yo, you're going to get your purple belt soon. And I was like, bro, I'd rather be late to a belt.
Yeah.
I'd rather be late. I'd never want to be a belt and then people be like,
you're not that.
You're not that.
You're not that. Yeah. I agree.
So I'd rather be late. It's really fun. I enjoy it. Jerry knows, Shane knows, everyone that really knows me knows. I really don't give a fuck about belts. Yep. I really don't. Mm-hmm. It's fun. I enjoy it. The camaraderie. I have a great time when I go there. It's a way to like decompress. It's a way to like, when I step on the mats, honestly, bro, it's like the only 90-minute stretch where I'm not on my phone.
Your therapy, yeah.
That's the longest time that I'm not on my phone on a daily. Like even when I go lift, listening to music, you get a text. Now you're in between sets. You're bullshitting.
Especially when lifting, because there's some time in between those reps.
If you're like me, I'm in the DMs, just shooting. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm all over the place. But for there, it's like, yo, it's a distraction. It's fun. Mm-hmm. It's fun. And everything I do is fun.
Yep.
So to answer your question, I don't care how long something takes. And like to be a black belt or whatever it might be, like it's fun. I'll get there eventually. And I just enjoy the processes. Mm-hmm. I really do. Yep. So I take that into like my content career. Cause like I said, I've been doing this for coming up on a decade, bro. I'm doing 2 shows a week, no matter what. Yep. Occasional, right? Like occasional things pop up, scheduling, whatever it might be. Maybe it's not a crazy topic we got to discuss, but when it's in season, when it's football, it's 2 shows a week, sometimes 3 shows, right? Like you capitalize on the momentum.
It's a lot of content.
In the summer, my co-host George and I, we have this summer series that we're shooting. That there's going to be shows airing throughout our vacation for 6 weeks, but it's going to appear like it's fresh content. You know, it's going to be fresh content.
Yeah, right.
So you just plan ahead. And for me, bro, like that's the coolest thing about like jiu-jitsu and the martial arts. And that's one of the reasons why Jerry and I have gotten so close. Cause like there's a lot of times where he'll talk about something. I'll be like, bro, it's the same thing in content.
Yeah.
Like you start to evolve, right? Like out of nowhere, leg locks became this thing. Mm-hmm. Now it's, you gotta have video, right? When you first started, and this is a cool little comparison that I could give you. When Jerry first started jiu-jitsu, or where all these guys that are black belts now started jiu-jitsu, majority of them, they didn't fuck with leg locks.
Yep.
That's how podcasting was with audio. It was all audio. Now, bro, if you don't got a leg lock game or at least know how to fucking defend it, you're done. It's the same thing with podcasts where if you don't have video, you're toast.
Yeah.
No one wants to just hear. They need to see.
Of course. People are visual.
It's the loaf of bread analogy, right? This hour and 20-minute show is the loaf of bread. The slices are the 5 to 12-minute segmented videos that you're breaking down. Mm-hmm. The pieces, the breadcrumbs, it's the shorts. So the breadcrumbs leads to the slice, leads to the loaf of bread. Like that's the trajectory that you need. So it's the same thing with the podcasting and with jiu-jitsu or any form of martial arts, at least for me, right? From my experience, going again, that buzzword experience, I think is the best teacher. And it's what has propelled me in everything that I'm doing. It's the same thing, bro. Like you start to evolve and you add new shit. Like one thing I'm looking to do for the football season is I want the show to go live on YouTube and on Twitch. I think that's the next evolvement to things. So you always got to evolve and you always need to just continue to do shit that's fun, man, because then it don't feel like work.
The evolving thing, that right there is the buzzword. Oh, that right there is the buzzword for me. What I'm doing personally with this podcast relating to martial arts is that now I'm slowing things down so that I can pick things up. So like every episode, even with this one, I know that you mentioned before that you don't watch, your own stuff. Like I remember that from the last podcast. I do because just like certain tweaks about like camera work. It might not even be me like talking, you know what I mean? It might be like, wait, that's off. You know what I mean? That camera on the third is off. You need more scene on here. Those specific details, I just go, it's just my thing. It's almost like the biggest difference. And then once in a while, you'll get this big change to where it makes a big difference. That's why I like doing that. So relating that to Muay Thai or martial arts or jiu-jitsu, it's one of those things. Now I don't probably be getting into another topic of jiu-jitsu, but then it's one of those things where I used to look at jiu-jitsu as a whole. Now I'm just like, even if it's you keeping a head and arm kind of thing, I'll just push away the arm and then that's what I'll focus on. You know what I mean? It's not anything in particular. Actually, it sounds kind of unsexy and boring. But then from you not holding my head and I can just do this, cup your arm, that's a win for me. You know what I mean? So relating to this content, that's a win for me if I'm able to adjust the camera just a little bit to make it just a little bit better. So that's what I try to focus on.
Well, the more you do it, the more subconscious you'll be of everything. Because like right now, as I'm looking into the camera, this is ideal framing.
Right.
And I can tell you why, right? You see how like I'm on that red line? I'm kind of like on the back third. Yeah. That's where you want it because the spacing, but the spacing over here, it's me directing the convo and giving the audience a sense of it's framing, right? It's framing. Where your camera, you're kind of more centered, right? You see that? You should be further back.
I see what you're saying.
Because then there's a space.
Oh, I see what you're
saying. Now,
saying.
if I was sitting here, see how awkward it would look?
Yeah. You're more centered,
It's not, So it's subconsciously like, bro, it happens all the time. When I'm filming at the studio and I have the luxury after all these years where I have a crew at the studio that can adjust the cameras for me, right? But like, I'm always sitting like this and I'm looking at the camera that way. And then when it pops up on the monitor, which is right underneath the camera, I'll do my adjustment. I'll get in frame.
Okay, yeah.
As I'm talking and doing, because it comes second nature, right? You know how many people see me typing and making show notes as I'm talking and filming? And people are like, bro, that's amazing. You're a genius. I'm like,
it's automatic.
No, it's kind of second nature. I don't get it to the exact second. Like Nick talks about Saquon Barkley going to the White House. It's like, no, it's at the 48-minute mark. So my editor has a frame of reference to go. So with the evolving, that stuff comes second nature to you after, bro. That's why I'm saying like there's advancements that happen. It's just like with martial arts, right? Like when you do jiu-jitsu, when I get the front headlock for me, now it's effortless. It's all the other shit that's a fucking nightmare for me.
Right.
But for that, it's like effortless. So it's the same thing with talking in front of a camera, talking into a microphone, not talking this way because now your audience can't hear me as I'm talking. So there's just certain things and like moving things with you, not forgetting that this actually moves so you can adjust the camera and bring it with you. So it's a lot of things, man. You get comfortable. And that's why before we were talking about like art form, I tell people I'm an artist because there's a skill to it. Everyone talks. So they think, oh, bro, I could do a pod or I could do it. It's like,
no,
you can't. There's a skill to it. And I never buy into how you said before about New Yorkers, like what is it with New Yorkers? When everyone's like, dude, the podcast market is oversaturated. Like, sure it is, but they ain't me, bro. They ain't me.
Yeah, right.
And you got to be able to like touch on current events, do your research, have fun with it, but also you got to show your personality too. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of that. And one of the coolest compliments that I get is that when people see my content, even like Dave, Black Belt Dave, he was like, man, he's like, I saw a clip of yours. You were talking something about the Eagles that this other dude reposted that he knew. He was like, man, I was listening and I was like, you know what? Nick really knows his shit. He's like, do you study this? And I was like, yeah, bro. Of course I do. Like, you think I just go over there and shoot the shit?
Exactly. Yeah.
Not for my pod, which is sports, right? Like you could do the shoot the shit. I didn't know what the fuck you were going to ask me on this show.
Yeah.
But you have an idea when you come on my show, it's a sports show, it's a betting show. We'll give you bullet points and it's controlled chaos. I always bring it back to what I initially asked you because I pay attention. So I tell people I'm an artist.
Sure. Yeah, like you have your systems. Right?
Yeah, everyone
by
does.
now it's automatic. It's automatic. Like I said,
Yeah.
you have your systems, and about what you were talking about. I think what you were talking about that relates to like everything is pretty much a skill set from even the most, I don't know, minor things. It's talking into the camera. I don't think a lot of people think consciously, like you said, it's like, yeah, I could just like talk on the camera. How fucking hard is that? Well, try talking into a camera.
Bro, you know, I had braces at 28 because of that. Like I knew I was going to be, I wanted to be in front of a camera and I still had baby teeth. So I had to get my teeth pulled down and then I had braces to just straighten out a couple of things in the front. I did that because I wanted to be more comfortable and be myself in front of a camera.
Yeah, Jerry would probably say because you wanted to yap all day.
Yeah, nah, for sure.
Talk shit all day. That's
I'm a professional. I'm a professional yapper,
right?
For sure. But yeah, dude, you just get comfortable, and it's like anything else. Things come second nature to you.
Yeah, for sure, man. Dude, Nick, I appreciate your time again. So you were saying that this was like the third time. Actually, we did 2 parts of that, so I'm gonna count this as the second one.
Okay.
But you already know that we're gonna do this again. So it's
sure,
you
man.
know, and
you don't
again,
got nothing else you got because you have notes and shit. So that's pretty impressive too.
Yeah, going back to it, writing is my world. That's that's everything to me. I think honestly, out of all this podcasting stuff, my next move is to write a book because it puts me in a flow state. This is gonna sound crazy coming from me, but it puts me in a flow state more than martial arts. That's a crazy statement for me to say because, you know, I'm at the gym, right? You know, and doing Muay Thai, Jiu Jitsu and stuff like that. It's my flow state like you. I don't get on my phone, you know what I mean? And it's a big deal. Martial arts, cliche as it sounds, literally saved my life from drinking and stuff I'm going through now, I guess. And, but yeah, writing is the one thing where, that's why I write those blogs. You know, it's just, it just gets me into, and then you just get better and better subconsciously. I'm not thinking, I'm just, oh, okay. And then it fits. It's like you're putting puzzle pieces together, which again relates to everything in life, jiu-jitsu. You're putting the pieces together, right? But dude, thank you again for your time, of course, right? And man, we got to do this again, obviously.
Yeah, just let me know, bro.
Let's go.